Hey gang, Uncle Todd and Sonny here, and we are taking a look at the season finale of Doctor Who, in which we had excitement, suspense, action, and ultimately a disappointment. Yeah. Well, picking up where we left off with Susan's Sutek possession, trying to touch the Doctor and destroy him, when luckily Mel grabs him and pulls him away. And then Susan releases death dust, which basically turns everyone into sand and crumbles. And this is also happening with the main Sutek at unit headquarters. So all those people are. The Doctor and Mel on a motorcycle are racing to unit just ahead of the major dust cloud that is pursuing them and destroying everyone in London. They get there and go to the time window. And lo and behold, Sutek appears in the window as well, in the Doctor's TARDIS that he's taking control of. And he wants to know one thing: who is Ruby's mother? He can't see it. He can see everyone else in the universe. Can't see that. Doctor has an inspiration and opens the door of the TARDIS in the memory. It's this compact conglomeration of all his past regenerations and the different architect and design that those doctors had. Grabbing a monitor from the time window that helps project all this stuff, he, Ruby, and Mel jump in. And they take off. It doesn't work too well, it's just held together by memory. And so the Doctor, using intelligent rope, kind of straps everything together, kind of like the intelligent gloves he had. And they escape, only to watch the entire planet be consumed. And when the Doctor looks, the entire universe has been consumed. And this is the focal point. It is now spreading to the past and the future because of all the incarnations of Susan that Sutek had created. Backstories, history, everything. So that emanating from her, this spreads everywhere. He's destroying everything. He's the god of death. And that's all he really wants. Just everything to be dead. The Doctor visits, they don't really say. It could be the future, might be the past, not sure. And he meets this woman who is slowly forgetting everything as everything is being consumed. But the Doctor manages to get a spoon from her, probably one of the last pieces of metal to be found. He thanks her before she crumbles, and he then returns to the TARDIS, where he uses the spoon, because it's a physical object, on the monitor so that the TARDIS can stabilize itself. What we now learn, but they don't, is that Mel was actually taken over by Sutek sometime earlier. Don't know when, but it was it happened. So, uh, the monitor really works with Ruby, and it keeps popping up that alternate timeline she created where the one prime minister had put everyone was wanting to put everyone on a registry, DNA. Well, the doctor recognizes him. That actually happened. So, they go to that timeline because Ruby's mother's DNA must be on that registry. So the doctor powers up the computer at one of the offices. He sends Mel out to keep watch. You never know when one of the minions might show up. And using the monitor they took, Susan gets a blood sample. The doctor gets a blood sample from Ruby, feeds it into the data registry, and it starts searching. And it finds Ruby's mother. And she doesn't understand what it's saying. About that time, Mel comes in, captures the doctor and Ruby, and Harriet, who is running the TARDIS and able to use it to reach out and grab, people, pulls them to Sutek. The doctor, of course, offers to sacrifice himself to save Ruby, but Sutek's not into that. He just wants that name. And Ruby comes up to him, right up to him, crying, saying she doesn't understand what the name means, and then destroys the monitor. He'll never know. Oh, and why did she approach him? Well, she just happened to have that intelligent rope with her, and she basically swoops around his neck, getting him caught on it, giving the rope to the doctor, who has on the intelligent gloves. He also has a coach's whistle that he took from the other TARDIS, and blowing it returns control of the TARDIS to him. It comes to him. They get on board. Oh, Harriet was expelled by the TARDIS rather forcefully. And they head into the vortex. And as Sutek is dragged through the vortex, all the things he's done get reversed. Everyone that's died is returned to life as if it never happened. There was a really heartfelt moment when Mrs. Flood had gotten in bed with Ruby's grandmother and held her tight and comforted her as they were turned to dust. When they are returned, they're both laughing and hugging each other. Ruby's mom is, she saw the taxi she was in. She was racing home. So thrilled, but now she has to walk home. But that's no big deal. She's alive. And when everything has been returned to the way it was, the doctor yells at Sutek that Sutek, because of his evil, has tainted the doctor, and he must now be evil himself. He's become a monster just like Sutek because he cuts the rope, letting Sutek loose. But without the protection the TARDIS affords to travelers, which has a specific radius. Once he falls outside that radius, he's burned to cinder. For now. You know how in Doctor Who, enemies never truly die. But that is it. Well, everything seems back to normal. They return to Unit, where, using the information the doctor gave them, they discover who Ruby's mom is. She's a nurse. about 35. 20 years ago, thereabouts, she was 15, gave Ruby up, had Ruby with her boyfriend accidentally. Her father was very abusive. Not telling her boyfriend that she was pregnant, she, after birth, went to the church so that Ruby would not be raised in that household and would hopefully have a better life. And then, before she walked away, when she turned and pointed, she was actually pointing at the signpost behind them in the memory. Ruby Road. She had actually given Ruby her name. She really is Ruby. Okay, but that doesn't make sense. How does that explain why Sutek couldn't find her? How does that explain the snow that would come at times of deep emotional moments with Ruby? Why did the maestro say there was something wrong with her, that there was the power within her wasn't right? Oh, the doctor explains that in some Russell Davies metaphysical gobbledygook. The importance Ruby put on her created a myth, and a myth that caused the snow, the reaction against the maestro, Sutek's inability to see her. Yeah. I think he was trying to go for a Last Jedi kind of thing, where Rey was revealed in that film to be the daughter of two nobodies. But in that film, it made sense because it was the implication that, like in the original Star Wars, it wasn't hereditary metachlorines and all that stuff that allowed people to access the Force. Anyone could do it. They just had to be open to it. Until Rise of Skywalker, when they just trashed all that and revealed she was Palpatine's granddaughter. Anyway, that's the first major disappointment. But we'll get to the second one in a minute. After that, Ruby and the doctor go to where her mom is having her coffee. And the doctor tries to persuade her that, look, she's got a great life. Why don't you just let things be? Nope. Ruby goes in, orders a drink, and reunites with her mom, who is thrilled, sad, and happy all at the same time, and guilty and full of shame. And Ruby says, no, it's all right. I had a great life because of you. And she introduces her to the Sunday family. And they all are just getting along like gangbusters. They are all now family. Isn't that wonderful? And the Ruby wants the doctor to meet her. And then they found her birth father, who doesn't know she's alive. And so she has to go deal with that. And the doctor says, well, don't look at it as goodbye. Look at it as goodbye for now. And Ruby goes, yeah, but you never looked for your granddaughter, Susan. Will I see you again? Of course you will. There are some things that can't be, blah, 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 blah. And then TARDIS leaves. It's now snowing. And we see Mrs. Flood on the roof in a fur coat, parasol keeping the snow off, and a suitcase, in which she tells us that this is the happy ending for the Sunday family. Unfortunately for the doctor, no happy ending, but terror. Night, night, all. Second disappointment. Who's Mrs. Flood? Is she a big baddie that they're just not going to say? Is she Susan? Is she the Ronnie? Is she Romana? They're not going to tell us yet. And that upsets me. So, good slam bang action, lame, disappointing ending. At least that's how I look at it. Please hit like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.